Good evening and welcome to the Monday, June 28th, 2021 Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting. The board has just come out of a paperwork review. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item is the review and approval of consent items. We have an account payroll manifest of June 22nd, 2021 in the sum of $231,892.75. June 29th of 2021 in the sum of $188,960.47. We have a payroll manifest of June 24th, 2021 in the sum of $65,920.81. And July 1st, 2021 in the sum of $57,315.85. We have the May town clerk, tax collector, and treasurer's reconciliations. We have a timber tax for $533.65. We have a tax abatement of MAP 2, Lot 13 in the sum of $2,822. Are there any items members would like to have removed from consent? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Leary,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Lynch. All in favor, Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Is there any business that members would like to add this evening? Hearing none, public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. The first item of business is the June 14th, 2021 minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them, and are there any comments or clarifications?
Move to accept.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Next item is the resignation of Sharon A. Harding Reed, Deputy Treasurer. Mr. Brown.
Thank you. The Board of Selectmen, our town treasurer, did receive resignation from Sharon Harding Reed. She's resigning as the Deputy Town Treasurer effective June 15th, 2021. Sharon, I think a lot of us know Sharon. She's been with our town for over 33 years. I think she told me exactly 33 and a half. She spent most of her career as a town police dispatcher. And when she retired from that job, she took on the town treasurer position, held that for many years. And over the last couple of years, she stepped down and acted as the deputy treasurer. She's decided at this point she has more than done her her service to the community. The staff have organized a luncheon with her tomorrow. We'll have a cake, and should be a good send off. So.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. And Sharon, thank you for all your years of service.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary.
I'll second
We
that.
have a second by Mr. Lynch. All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we have the solid waste and recycling contract. Mr. Brown.
Okay, our solid waste contract is with Waste Management. It expires the end of this year, December 31st. It's very typical for Dave to reach out and to not only Waste Management, but other providers that can do the same service and try to get a contract in place in advance before the new budget year. And by doing that, he's able to really get better pricing and try to, get competitive price. And he's done that this year. He's done this 2 times since I've been town administrator, and it's worked out extremely well. This year, Waste Management came back and they were very concerned with the future pricing for both disposal of our municipal solid waste, the construction debris, and then also the trucking costs. Landfill space is becoming it's always been a problem, but I guess it's really starting as far as looking out in the future. There's going to be some competitive pricing trying to secure dumping rights in those landfill up there in Rochester. Our household trash is burned. It's gone to an incinerator in Pinnachuck. So that's how our waste is disposed of in this town. All the construction debris goes to the landfill and up in Rochester, and everything else is incinerated in Pinnachuck, just outside Concord. So what they've come back with is a proposal. We didn't receive any quotes from any other haulers or so people that will dispose of this waste as well. They've come back with a 5.5-year contract. So basically, this contract would start July 1st this year. They've adjusted our hauling cost and tipping fees, both for solid waste and for C&D. They've done an adjustment for the first 6 months. And then from there, they benchmark at 3.5% annual increase thereafter for the life of the contract. They've also agreed that they would provide us, because we've had some issues. I know the board's been hearing complaints of trash problems at our parks and rec facilities. And they've agreed that they would provide us with a $1,400 grant so that we could go out and buy a specific trash barrel with a certain hood that's worked out well for Litchfield baseball.
Yes.
So we'd like to replicate that same setup and have that at all of our facilities.
Excuse me, Troy. Is that a dumpster or just a trash can?
So that's the trash can that they would give us $1,400. Each can, the setup is about $100.
Okay.
So, and what it is, it's a Rubbermaid commercial barrel, but the top is rounded with the swing lid.
The dome
So what it
lids.
helps is the rain doesn't get in there. A lot of the problems, the rain getting in, filling up the bag. The volunteers are trying to move this stuff, and it just gets, crows can get into it if you don't have a proper lid.
Yeah.
They make a mess.
And right now, there's no lids on a lot of them in the fields, and trash is just blowing everywhere. And the guy doing our field maintenance, he tries to pick it up. The organizations do. So it's been a big problem on the rec.
Have they ever considered carry in, carry out?
We have that at a lot of places. Even then, like over by the basketball courts, there's no barrel, and you find stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Or somebody goes down and uses the pavilion, and they'll try to put everything into one can that's already overfilling, and they put things next to it. So it's been a very large ongoing problem for the Recreation Commission.
But in addition to this, something new that we would do in this contract, and this could start July 1st this year, they would provide us dumpsters, smaller dumpsters at our small fields, a 4-yard dumpster. And we'd have that at the Corning Field, Jeff, and Sawmill Park. Currently, we do not have dumpsters there, or we have one that's being paid for by Baseball Association. And I think you guys are paying, what, $200 something?
We pay $232 every time we have it dumped.
Yeah.
Coming out of the league.
So because of our, large contract, they would provide a dumpster at each facility at $70 per dumpster per month. We believe we'd only need to dump it once per month.
Only for a couple months.
And that would be seasonal. We're not going to, as you get to the end of the season, those dumpsters would go away. The dumpsters would be locked so that we're not going to have, illegal dumping going on, TVs and air conditioners and tires thrown in them.
Is there one at Dare Pond?
There's a very large one there that has been known to have other debris thrown at it, paint cans, computers.
That was fenced in and locked at one time.
At one time it was, yeah. But then there was an issue when every time solid waste came to dump it, they couldn't get in. They weren't able to get to it. So and I think that one's even too large now. I mean, talent doesn't get used to the way they thought it would.
Yeah. So Dave has gone again. Dave's negotiated, I don't know, probably 6 of these contracts. He's gone through it. He's gone back and forth. This was the best that he could bring back to the board. And it does secure you for the next 5.5 years. It's some pretty decent pricing. You lock in that, typically the shock here was the message we were hearing from the solid waste company was everything is going up, and because you're coming to us, we can give you a better price than our market price. If you were a new community or new entity coming to us, apparently the pricing is much higher, but we've been a long time customer. So
And we haven't solicited any other bids on these.
the Casella Waste Management is really the other company that could do this, and Dave reached out to them twice, and they're just, as in the years past, I think they typically,
Not interested.
well, I think when Waste Management's, I think they both, when a company's in a town, depending on how aggressive they want to be, they don't really want to move in and take over a town.
Yeah, my conversation with Dave last Saturday, he didn't think that they'd even get close to the price point.
Yeah.
Bernard does a lot in town also.
We've had Waste Management forever.
Mhm.
A long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I again, I think that's why you're able to get, they're giving you their best pricing. This is not the pricing that they offer new customers.
And it's a 3.5% increase year over year, which
And it's been running
makes sense.
right around 3%. I think the 0.5% is telling you it's going up. But with that being said, this first 6 month, the transition, they're actually giving us the pricing for the first 6 months is less than what we're paying today.
Yeah, because they
So
were
they're
paying.
giving us a discount up front, and then they're going to slowly, go back.
I
and
think what he
capture.
told me, he's paying 85 now, and they're dropping it to 78 per ton.
That's what it says here.
So I think, it sounds like a good deal.
Waste management has a better market or a better handle on the disposal locations and how they work compared to the smaller companies that are out there. 'Cause they have to depend on the same places too.
They own the landfill in Rochester.
You got
so,
it.
So
Okay. Yep.
other competitors would have to pay
Disposal fees.
a higher fee to
Yep.
tip at those landfills.
Yep. That's the advantage of them because they own the Rochester site.
So it looks like we have a price decrease from where we are today through calendar year 2023.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm seeing here.
So you need a motion to waive the purchasing policy? Or that?
No, I think what I would do is if we're on board to go ahead and authorize us to sign the contract, and then I would come back at your next meeting to do the whole purchase order thing.
Okay. What's the will of the board?
In my opinion, I think we ought to go with waste management because they have the facilities and they're closer and they've done it for a long time. But they also come in with a better price each year. Okay. Grant you right now, the fuel cost is affecting them.
Mhm.
Okay. And you also got to deal with the markets on regarding certain things. We have to deal with that. And they own the Rochester landfill, which they control, and they keep it for themselves to keep them going. Somebody else can't get it, you got to ship it out somewhere else. Or you got to think of some other disposal method. Pennachuck doesn't have a up near Concord. It's Pennacook.
Pennacook.
God, it's like-
Yeah,
You
they
said
have- they have the
Pennachuck
incinerator.
twice. Okay, but they have the electric plant. I'll let it go at that.
Right.
It generates. That's a good thing going still.
Yep.
I feel it's a good choice. I think we ought to stick with it.
I like that the price is decreased and doesn't get back to where we are until end of 2023.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
So what goes to the trash to energy plant?
That's your trash that you're taking out of your kitchen,
Okay, so the wet garbage.
the garbage. Yeah. So then
So what's left?
you're a good responsible citizen. You're recycling. You're taking
Okay.
your plastics. You're taking your aluminum. You're taking your glass,
Yeah.
and you're recycling that. You're taking your cardboard, your
Yep.
newspaper, recycling that. And C&Ds typically, it can be a mixture of a little bit of furniture. Mattresses go into the C&D. If you
C&D.
tore apart, yeah, construction demolition.
Okay,
Yeah, you tore apart a deck, a small shed.
okay.
That's all C&D.
So where does that go?
That goes to Rochester landfill,
Okay, so that's waste management.
and that's waste management.
Okay, now the recycling stuff.
So then you got your appliances, you've got air conditioners, you got refrigerators, steel. That's all handled by different vendors. So Dave, most of it goes to a cooperative that we're involved in, and they go out and they get the best pricing because we're doing volume. So they
But
secure.
that's based upon the market price.
Yep. And we
Okay.
get a better. So they'll go out and they bid it for. There's probably like 40 communities involved in the cooperative, and they
Was
go
there-
out and bid this aluminum cans, and we get that price. And they arrange to have the trucks come and haul them away.
Now, is that a revenue generator or is
That's
that
a
an
revenue.
expense?
It has been a revenue generator, but we've
Yeah.
seen the last couple of years everything went down, and we were either breaking even or we were losing a little bit of money. But everything's starting to turn now. There's actually a market for cardboard. The aluminum's gone up, steel's gone up. Typically, what Dave tells me is every time you see the fuel prices going up, demand increases for recyclables.
Oh,
When
really?
fuel goes down out there in the manufacturing world, it's easier for them and cheaper for them to use energy, burn fuel and stuff. When it starts going up, they start looking to recycle, which makes sense.
Newspaper part has gone down a lot.
Yeah.
There's no newspapers to speak of.
Yeah.
you know?
Junk mail.
Funny though, cardboard, and again, I would
Cardboard's
assume
sky high.
he's getting more money for cardboard today than he's ever has. He told me, and I'm assuming it's because they're recycling and selling it as fast as they can to Amazon, and everybody else is doing.
That's what's
Think
happening.
of how many
Yeah.
packages came into everybody's house for the last 14 months.
Yeah.
Too bad there isn't a market for junk mail. You'd be-
No, huh?
That'd be good.
Okay. How would we like to proceed? Do we want to make a motion to let Mr. Brown go into a contract agreement with solid waste?
So move.
Motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Next item we have is recycling building siding. Mr. Brown.
Okay, Dave has gone out and got 3 quotes to put on new siding on the building right now. Currently, if you've been down there and take a look, we have the textured 111. It's been painted. It needs, you either need to paint it, replace some of the textured 111, or get it covered up with some vinyl siding. We just did the roof project, so by doing the vinyl siding, we're pretty much going to have an exterior that's maintenance free. And we'll be using the recycling fund to do this. We currently have a balance of $31,000 in that fund. The 3 quotes that he received was Brilliant Exteriors, $11,330. Brian Smith Carpentry, $13,850. And iRoof, $16,900. Dave has met with all 3 contractors, and as he's told me, he goes, all 3 contractors are competent and can do the work. He's not concerned about that whatsoever. And but all the contractors, they're all meeting the same scope of work and specs. So these and the great thing about this, these are all local Litchfield companies too.
Yeah.
So you know, in this situation when they're a Litchfield company and there's no concern about their ability to do the work, good quality job, you know, you kind of have to go with the lowest bidder.
I've seen work by all three of these guys, and they're all fantastic. They all do a great job.
I've seen it, like occasionally.
It's a pretty simple job. It's not like there are a bunch of windows or
No,
Nope.
it's good.
dormers
Yeah.
or
Oh,
anything like that.
There's not a lot of J channel. There's four corners, and
Yep.
so it's Dave's done some vinyl siding himself, and he said exactly that. It's a pretty simple, straight job.
You got that right.
I just wonder about the price of the vinyl. I wonder if, you know, is that been affected? I understand though plywood has begun to go down now.
You know what? Dave was surprised at the pricing here.
I mean,
He
there's a
was
gap
not
of-
expecting this. He was actually expecting it to be higher. So I'm not sure if vinyl siding actually took the hit that some of these other building materials have.
and it's interesting seeing the swing being $5,600 from low to high.
It's a pretty good percentage.
Yeah.
I think you're real. I don't want to speak for iRoof, but they really specialize in roofing, and I think they're getting into vinyl siding or have been in, but their
Brilliant
specialty is-
Exteriors focuses on siding, door, and windows.
So you can see the two low bidders are close, and I think that's more their specialty.
I move to accept the
11,000.
deal with Brilliant Exteriors at $11,330.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. LaSalle, second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion?
Who is Brilliant Exteriors? I've never heard of
That is Craig DeCarian,
Mhm.
lives in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, does a lot of work.
Must be a newbie.
5 years, 6 years,
It's a newbie.
I think somewhere around there. Yeah,
Okay.
He's done a lot of work in town.
I know a lot of people that have used them.
Okay. Go off of your referral.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Okay, all those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle,
All right.
Mr. Lynch,
Hi.
Ms. Queen.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500.
Can't give you everything.
Next item is public hearing for illicit discharge ordinance. Mr. Brown.
All right. Well, one of the things that I've been working on here this month and throughout the year is our municipal stormwater sewer program. And so that's referred to as MS4. And because the town we have a municipal stormwater system. It's basically the catch basins that you see throughout our town. We collect stormwater runoff. We collect it all, put it in pipes, and we send it off to drainage swales and brooks and streams and rivers, and eventually all makes it the way to the ocean. Well, the EPA, in order for us to have this system in place through the Clean Water Act since like 1970s, they've identified these stormwater sewer systems as a potential source of contaminant to our drinking water and just our brooks and rivers and streams. So we, through our permit that we have, one of the requirements is to have an ordinance so that we can enforce any illegal activity that might be going on that would be an illicit discharge into our system. Typically, what they're really talking about here is someone could unintentionally have a failing septic system, and that could leach into our stormwater system. And what I just did last week, we just went around and we went to we didn't go all of them, but we went to about a third of our outfalls. These are the end pipe that are throughout the town. And we do an inspection. It's called a dry weather inspection. And you hope to find no running water because it's a dry weather inspection. You have to have a period of no rain or a certain, percentage of no accumulation. If you have running water, you need to take a sample, and that goes to the lab. It's analyzed for bacteria, nitrates, other sources of contaminants. And if we came back and we had high levels that don't meet certain standards, then the town would need to investigate that further and try to identify the source where it's coming from. If we found illegal activity going on, we would have no way of enforcing and telling the person to stop doing what they're doing without an ordinance in place. And so this ordinance is very simple. It's just basically saying that you're not allowed to dump these types of things into our system, and identifies myself, town administrator, as the person that has the authority to go out and issue notices to stop the discharge. I've had this has been reviewed by legal counsel, and it all looks good. So, but I wanted to answer your questions, and then of course we'd have to have a public hearing this evening to see if there's any input. I've not received anything in writing from anyone.
I got a question. I just read this for the first time today. I had some questions on being illicit discharge. We say sewer, but it's stormwater management. That's the name of it. It's not sewer. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
so
I know
it's
what
called
you're saying.
MS4 is really what
Yeah.
everyone refers to it as.
Yeah, and illicit discharges is chemicals, stuff like that. Okay. A leach field, there's already rules on that already require somebody, if you find it, you can summons under the health codes. Under law, they can't discharge. You can tell the people to pump it out. And you can monitor that. This doesn't even refer to the leach fields. So I'm looking at this saying, okay, the fire chief, I understand, for illicit discharge, the road agent, something spills, the health officer, and goes on. But there's other state laws and laws that we still have to apply that's different than this, but does the same thing. Okay, that's stormwater.
Yeah, this was, right now with or without this ordinance, the reporting of spills, that's a law anyhow. But like a spill, you could have a spill in this town that doesn't enter our stormwater system. So it could just happen alongside the road. It could happen.
Correct.
But this type of spill is something that wherever it would happen, maybe it's on a road and the oil, the gasoline, whatever it is leaking, gets into the stormwater system. I'm probably not going to know about that. The fire chief's going to know about that way before me. But if this ordinance is written that if I'm aware of it, I need to report it immediately to the fire chief. But it's not. It's in reality, it's not going to happen that way. The fire chief's going to know about it way before me.
Well, he should let us know too, with we are the Board of Health, okay? And that's why I think that should be part of this thing. When was this drafted up?
Why was it?
When was this ordinance drafted up? How far back?
This is new.
It's brand new. We've never had one.
This is new.
Okay, but I'm just curious about, because it says on the penalties here, the fire chief may initiate procedures for the recovery of emergency response costs. That's not solving a problem. He's just covering his cost. What about the other people's cost? The landowners and stuff like that.
Can you say that again?
There's more than covering just his costs for the team going out.
Well, the second statement that it picks up, it says, in addition, if a person is found responsible for illicit discharge prohibited by this regulation and has failed to take corrective action, the town of Litchfield may undertake corrective action, and all costs incurred shall be charged to the violator to be recouped through all available means.
I see that.
Yeah.
But then it's already taken care of. You don't need that top sentence. It says it right there. And
Well, the
if
ordinance
any
just-
person found responsible for illicit discharge prohibited and regulated shall corrective action taken by the town, which is the fire department as well, may undertake a corrective action of all costs incurred. You don't even need the first sentence. It says the same thing.
I have a question.
I'm just
Of
saying.
course, yeah,
Troy.
I would agree with that. The
Um,
town is the town.
Maybe we should, I'm just suggesting, we have seen this a little bit on the planning board, but maybe NRPC can look at it. They work with the EPA and they're saying all these reasons for that water, to use this MS4 program, whether it's pesticides, stormwater, agriculture, animal feeding, industrial wastewater, municipal wastewater.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons. So
That's the last piece of this. It defines the pollutant as defined by EPA in section 122.2 of CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations, and it lists a lot of the ones you just listed.
yeah, I just we haven't used this a lot. Do you want him to just maybe look at the wording just to see if what he's expects it to be as well? Maybe just another set of eyes on it.
What's that?
Send it to Jay at NRPC.
Maybe he can just look at it because he talks to us a lot about this on the planning board.
Oh, well, this is a template that's been used by several towns. So this language is pretty standard.
he would,
it's
he would be familiar with that.
Yeah, this is you'd find this. This language is there's like 40 communities in the state that are under this permit, and so the definition is all the same.
What's going to be a follow-up document to that? What's the process? You identify something, it goes and you get it analyzed, and there's a problem. So I'm not sure. It's based on all of these here. What happens if it's a food product or an industrial wastewater? What do they do after that? If they identify what the wastewater is,
If you can identify, again, we're hopeful that we're not going to actually identify anything in a town like this. I think your bigger problems are in your larger cities. That's where where you have commercial, industrial type stuff going on. Those types of chemicals can leach into your system. In a residential agricultural community, you're pretty much going to maybe, I think, find someone might be over fertilizing, and that could get into the system, or again, it could be a failing leach field, which maybe nobody even knows about because it's leaching into the system.
so what's the process once you identify there's a problem? You have something to point to for a law now. But what happens after that?
So
Is it the
again,
fire
what
chief
we
now?
well, no, I mean, I don't know what you're asking, but this ordinance takes effect once you go out and we do the field sampling.
Mhm.
So, and we receive a hit of a high level of something.
Mhm.
Now we're going to have to investigate. We got to go back and try to find the source of this contaminant, which, I'm not sure that's going to be a process in itself. Then if we actually find the source,
Mhm.
then we're going to do just like any other violation of our zoning ordinance or building codes. You're going to go and approach the owner and try to work with them to correct the problem. And that, a failing leach field, it takes time. I know the state and everyone's set up to react pretty quickly, but still you're not going to stop it from,
Mhm.
but that they're currently getting the design, they're working with everyone to get the permit. And that's what the EPA is looking for. They're just looking for us to be able to know that we have a program, that we're out there testing, and that when we do find a contaminant, we have the ability to go back, find the source, and then we have something in writing that allows us to actually enforce and have the authority to say, yeah, you need to stop this.
Well, with leach fields, once you find it and you know where it's coming from, the state health codes are very clear and they're very accommodating. Your health officer can issue an order to have his tank pumped and require the corrective action be done. That's the only method that's out there that's allowed. That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Been doing that for years. You find it, you get it fixed.
But it looks like the authority all falls down on the fire chief.
And it shouldn't be doing that. It should not be falling down to the fire chief for subsurface.
or others. Maybe it's that
Yeah,
person plus
yeah.
somebody else. But
Yep. It should fall down for just the town. The town can throw it to the department that it has to be in.
Having just read this for the first time, my first thought that came to my mind is that people are going to be going around to all the farmers telling them they got to stop doing fertilizers and pesticides because it's getting in the stormwater or it's getting into whatever. And that'll kill the farms. I know we need to preserve the water and we need to take care of it. But That's the first thing that came to my mind. And they're under the gun as it is, and I don't know that they need more piled on their plate.
They're licensed to spray what they have to spray. The
Mhm.
farmers have to be licensed now.
Yeah.
And they do have folks that come in and check, but still, there's others, like you said, I'm worried about this too, Bob.
Mm.
Okay?
When you guys went out and investigated, did you find any water running anywhere?
So I think we did 18 site inspections and we only found running water in 2.
Where are they?
One was Corning Road, which was our rec field, that big pond behind the field
Get that
there.
containment pond that's in the
And I'm
back.
thinking that was all groundwater just leaching into the system.
That's
It's
what
really
it is
wet back there.
It's
Yeah.
always wet back there.
Yeah.
And, where was the other one? There's another one near Nessenkeg Brook that was running, but again, we think that's just we were surrounded by wetlands.
Mhm.
So
You probably in that area, you've got groundwater activity getting into the drainage systems
no,
in that
you know
area.
what? It was up at Rookery. That's where it was.
Do
And we
the
had
same.
beaver dams, two big
That's exactly what.
two
you have up
big
there.
deep beaver dams around us.
Take 'em out.
And everything else is dry, and that's the way it should be. There's,
Mhm.
like I said, a town like
drought.
this, you're really not gonna find much.
I think the drought is helping us.
Well, it's got to be dry again. We don't want to go out there and test right after you've had a heavy rain. So you got to have that period of time where it's dry, and so you don't want to be testing just stormwater runoff. We want to go out there and test when nothing should be coming out of the pipe.
Okay, I really think the fire chief should be notified, the road agent or the health officer, and he's only referring to hazardous discharges. He won't be referring to subsurface, okay?
Right.
So I really think that's one step. So I don't really care about any surface discharge, and we're referring to spills. That's what we're referring to, spills.
A spill could be a source, and
90%
you
of it is.
know, I really don't expect. I don't expect much activity with this ordinance, but it's what the EPA requires. It's not really optional. If you want to run your municipal stormwater system, the EPA is requiring you to have an ordinance to be able to enforce, your regulations, and that's what this is about. Basically, right now you have a system of pipes that collect stormwater and is discharging into public bodies, which is overseen by the EPA. And as part of our permit, you're required to have this ordinance.
I would like to hold off on accepting this right now. I want to reread some of it since it's the first time I've seen it. I'm seeing, and I'm not being derogatory to the fire department. You're talking stormwater management, okay? Spills that are separate that the fire department would normally get a call on for fuel spills, oil spills, that kind of spill. That's a separate issue all by itself. We're talking stormwater management, and that's something that we're going to keep in the selectmen and the health, and the road agent especially in there as the top priorities on that. Okay, if we find it to be a hazmat situation, yes, the fire department gets called in. Most cases, they're not hazmat. And I have some knowledge of this because I did it in Milford for quite a while before I came here, and that's exactly the same stuff that we got into. Because I like to hold off till the next meeting. I want to read this and study this a little bit more, Troy.
Okay.
And I want to look at somewhere where that you got the towns where you received this from. You got any examples that we could have?
Yeah. I think Allenstown's is very similar, and Danville, is it? They're very similar.
Okay. And other towns around us have it besides here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're probably one of the last towns that don't have it.
Well, at least we're consistent. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I'd like to look into it a little bit more.
Do we have a deadline for having this?
Well, the deadline was this permit year, so it was really June 30th was our deadline to have this.
So
in
this
place.
year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with waiting until the next meeting.
I just want to review some of the wording here, and I understand some of the process was done. I just want to make sure that the town is, whether the fire chief, health, or building, but in most cases, it's stormwater. And that's going to require the highway guy to get out and look at it fast, and then your health officer next. If there's illicit discharge, that's
Well,
another matter all by itself.
Yeah, I don't know. All spills, as far as I'm aware, any hazard chemical spill, the reporting and goes to the fire chief. And then what it's saying is also the road agent, health officer, and any other personnel. But officially, you're going to report all spills to your fire
Hazard
chief.
spills, correct. Illicit hazard spills.
Well, we're just saying spills. I don't know what kind of
That's
spills
why I
going to
wanna
happen out there.
read-
But if you have a tractor trailer truck that flips over on Albuquerque and it's going down the storm catch basins, you're going to. That's what I'm saying. The fire chief's going to know about it before anyone.
that's
But
common
if he
knowledge.
doesn't know about it, he needs to be notified.
Oh, we'll tell them.
Yeah, so there's a town close by that actually puts a chart in and shows the type and then the applicable board that goes with it and the applicable enforcement statute that goes with it, the RSA. I'll shoot you over the link.
What you doing over there? Searching?
Educating myself.
Glad you know how to run one of them. Can you shoot it to me?
Sure, shoot it to everybody.
Thank you. I don't like to use the word shoot. How's the rest of the board feel about this? Hold off till the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea. We have it, but I just think it all
Definitely.
falls down on the fire chief.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't know if it
Yeah.
should or shouldn't. So,
and we're talking drainage, not just the list discharges.
I mean, I see Troy's point: a spill's a spill, but then this document breaks it up by water runoff and then
Got
an
it.
accident. Or they didn't call it an accident, but a water runoff, and then
In the MS4, when you're referring to that there, municipal stormwater sewer systems, I never seen a stormwater system. Well, the city used to, when the city sewer systems used to go into the stormwater system, but now those are being separated.
That's what the
Okay.
MS4. The MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System.
Mhm.
So
Federal name for it. I don't know.
that's what the four means. The four S's. So
Yeah.
you've been around for a long time. That
Thank
the EPA has been working hard with getting municipalities to get their stormwater out of the sewer treatment connections, because all these stormwater, it was going into treatment facilities, and the treatment facilities were overflowing and discharging into the Merrimack River. So a lot of work's been going to separate those two.
Yeah,
A
we
town
don't
like
have
us,
that.
we don't have a sewer treatment plant, so
We have
ours
nothing
is
yet.
totally separate. But it's still considered stormwater,
Well, that's
and it's
stormwater, not
a
subsurface.
regulated. It's regulated.
We have a stormwater system that comes from Derry to Litchfield, AKA sewer discharge.
No,
system.
that's sewage, but
With their
stormwater is what
connected
you're
to it.
collecting. You're collecting water, and you're discharging it, and so it's classified as a.
I think Derry's stormwater too is connected to the sewer system over there. In some places, still the old sections.
Okay, we'll just, everybody can review and we'll bring it up at our next meeting.
Thank you. Sure does.
Is there any public here for this?
Yep.
Any public? I mean,
Nope, I don't believe so.
no. Do you want to open a public?
I'll open it up.
Because I advertised a
Okay.
public hearing.
I didn't realize, but I'd like to open it to input of any members of the public that have anything to say concerning the illicit discharge ordinance. Seeing we have no input, we'll close public input.
Just wanted that.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to open, since it's 7:15, we'll open it up to public input. Are there any members of the public that would like to provide input? And here we are.
Oh, Mr. Cabral.
Good evening.
I think the only one that doesn't know me is Kim. By the way, congratulations. on
Oh,
being
thank
in that
you.
seat.
thank you.
Okay, Joe Cabral, Brickyard Drive. This has to do with the yard sale table at the dump. Now that we cleared the lot outside there, outside our fence, I mentioned this to Kevin. Why don't we get a 40-foot storage container? Put it outside the fence for Dave. Have the table go in there, but Dave still got the responsibility to lock it and stuff. Don't have to bring white. I was talking to Kevin about solar. We were mentioning about instead of
Lighting.
bringing a line out to hook lights up, do it with solar. The other thing is to have the kids in the high school put a mural on it. You know, to something to the town farms or something on there. And that would eliminate the parking problem for Dave at the dump when people leave their car there. And
Yeah, we'd have to clear an area and make a parking area for it.
no, we already have it outside the fence.
It's been cleared, okay?
Yeah, but I'm saying we're gonna have to
Put
grade
some gravel
an
down.
area, put gravel down to have a
Right.
parking area
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
And I thought that would be good for Dave because that's going to help him by they're not.
Yep.
And they got to go out there to go to it.
And they can just hang out there instead of hanging out in his parking lot.
You got it.
Not a bad idea. I mean, we
You
should
can ask
bring it.
Dave. I think it would violate his permit that he has with the state because your whole, your facility is permitted.
Mhm.
And he has to file a permit every year, and I believe it all needs to be secured under supervision at all times when it's operating. So if you're outside that gate, that means anyone could go there 24/7.
No, it'd have to
No,
be locked.
it has to be locked.
Lock it.
Well, could you vet it out with Dave and just see,
Well, could we move the fence out?
getting chain link fence right now is pretty difficult. We learned a couple of weeks ago.
You can't get it out because the trees are growing into it.
I'll ask.
Yeah, if you
We'll
could
just
ask him, that'd be
Dave.
great. I appreciate it. That's some good
Doesn't
input. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought of that. I said, because geez, we can relieve that whole problem for Dave.
Okay.
Because I've been there. I know it's aggravating because you'll see 2 or 3 of them sitting there and it's like you're waiting and waiting. And all of a sudden you see them all sitting out of the building.
And in the container that and Joe and I, we talked about it briefly, and I said, well, the most containers, the 20 by 40 or something like that, or 20 by 30 or
30,
less,
whatever.
okay? Because you can put shelving style in there,
Mhm.
okay? And you go in and
Yeah.
put it all on the outside walls, and you get a side entrance one,
Right.
okay? So that you can just go like that, and you're done, and it's
go out.
locked up as storage, and we can still shield it by planting. And maybe that's something that could be done, but I think what Troy is referring to, yeah, it's the whole facility, okay, but this is the Still Good shop,
Yeah, this is the.
okay?
yeah,
So
it's-
maybe out on that, I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's a good question. I think.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to talk and just see if it's something that's viable. But yeah, it's a great
Yeah, and then,
solution.
like I said, if it does go, it'd be good for the high school art class
Mhm.
to help,
Spruce it up,
spruce it instead of it letting it be a plain gray container or orange or whatever.
it's like eating in Nashville, in Nashville,
You know,
maybe bury it.
Troy, if you could talk to Dave, that'd be fantastic.
and I got one other question.
Sure.
I don't know who can answer this one. You always hear that the lottery gives so much money to each school district. Does anybody know how much that we get in this town
For the school system,
for the school system?
I could figure it out. I mean, it's public knowledge. but
Yeah, I just was wondering what the amount was. Because we never hear of it when you go to the school meetings,
Yeah.
that the state lottery is ever giving you such and such. Because I've gone to enough of them, you never hear it.
It's available.
Right. Okay, that's the only other thing I got.
Okay,
That's it.
Thank you,
Rich,
John.
could you investigate that, please?
sure.
Thank you.
He knows where I live. He can get a hold of me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
No problem.
Thanks, Joe.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Are there any other members of the public that would like to provide input?
I'm looking.
Hearing none, we'll close public input at 7:20.
Take care.
Thank you, Joe. Be well. Next are impact fees, library and school. Mr. Brown.
I just wanted to just put this on the agenda so you can have it as a discussion point. But we've recently had a request from the library for the use of impact fees to build sounds like an outside pavilion. And the purpose of this would be to expand their operation as a seasonal, learning facility activities. for their summer program. And we also received a letter from the school district where they were looking to utilize impact fees to help assist them financially with several of the ongoing, I would call it the HVAC maintenance improvement projects. So typically what I've done in the past is we've introduced this to the board. It's totally the board's decision of allowing these funds to be used. I'm a little concerned. The library, I'm a little concerned about the construction of the pavilion, but I think there's possible is a good justifiable use of impact fees because they are expanding square footage. They're creating new space, and that's what that's what these fees are for, is to expand to accommodate growth. The school, I'm looking at it as more. This is upgrades. It's addressing maintenance issues that have been deferred, but it's not increasing any space for the school for the little bit that I know about it. But what I can do is the person that wrote the impact fee ordinance, Bruce Mayberry, he's the one that worked with the planning board and came up with the fee calculation, the methodology. Typically, I go back to him and ask for his professional guidance on whether this would be a permitted use or not of the impact fee, in his opinion. And I would, I'd strongly suggest that we do that for both these requests.
I agree. Let's make sure they're viable solutions.
I'm not certain I understood what you said, Troy. That you want to go back to.
So I'll go I wasn't here, but there was a consultant that was hired by the planning board, and based on the capital improvement plan, they came up with the determination of what the impact fees would be. And it was based on the capital improvements plan that was projects that were driven by growth. So if you're just going to replace a fire truck,
Thank you.
just because of age, that's not a use of impact fees. But if you knew that you were going to take on another 300 houses and we need to have a fire truck to take on that new growth, then that's a valid use of impact fees. And somehow this person worked with a methodology and he came up with the system. And we have from time to time gone and asked for guidance from him on, is this a valid use of the fees or not? The fear is that if this board releases impact fees for a certain project and at a later date and time, it's just someone determines that was not an appropriate use, we actually are on the hook for reimbursing the people who paid the impact fee.
And there's very strict guidance.
There's a strict, and it's not going to be the school district and it's not going to be the library. It's going to be the selectmen who's going to have to reimburse that person who paid the impact fee.
And I would really question overhauling the ventilation system in a school. Has nothing to do with growth.
I think it's growth driven.
No. Not necessarily that it isn't needed, but I would really question the use of impact fees for that.
So I think it's good if you go vet it out with that individual, both of these cases, to see if it falls within the guidelines of use of impact fees.
I will. I just wanted to let you know too. Dr. Jetty did contact me today and asked if he needed to be here, and I told him I just plan on introducing it, and I'm going to probably recommend we go and get an opinion. And he was fine with that, but he did offer to be here this evening, and I told him I didn't think it was necessary.
Good, thank you. Do we all agree that Troy should go and investigate?
Well, you should, yeah. My questions would be, are the impact fees like the designated for LMS being used at LMS and the CHS ones being used exclusively at CHS?
They have to be.
So currently, right now, when a homeowner pays this or a developer pays the impact fee, there is dedicated. So you have road impact fees, fire, town hall, police, and then the school systems. For whatever reason, it is not just generic school.
It's broke up.
It's building.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're broken down.
And
the
Dr.
GMS
Jetty was talking to me
ones-
today about that, saying, he's worked in some other towns where it's not actually,
Yeah,
the impact fee isn't tied 100% to a specific building,
well,
it's
it should
more
be.
generic town school growth.
Yeah, and the
issues.
GMS one, that's supposed to be for the construction of a new school, isn't it? Isn't that what that one was brought forward for?
I'm not sure.
I wouldn't say 100%, but
I don't recall.
Well,
exactly.
if a developer comes in
Yeah,
and there's impact fees assessed,
they're broken down.
what says whether it's GMS or LMS or
it's
CAM?
on the
Percentage, right?
on the impact fee statement, when we
Yeah, the form
calculate it, they
itself
know
has it.
exactly what they're paying
Yeah.
per building.
No, I understand
Oh, okay.
that, but does somebody look at them and say, well, I think you're gonna start having kids, so.
Oh, no, it's
Certain
What's that?
percentage, right? Of the overall.
it's all
fee,
calculated on
certain
square
percentage.
footage of,
Yeah. If I
of
recall,
a building.
when I ended up assessing
You
the impact fees, and it was breaking down as to where it was gonna go, road, police, fire, stuff like this. So it's a good question, and we need to get vetted out.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that's, because the way it was sold was broken down for that.
Okay.
The other question with respect to the library, I noticed they have an outside tent. Is that a tent that they own, or is that a tent that they rent, or,
That's a good question.
because it's been there for,
Yeah, for the summer reading program, yeah.
is that what it's for?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah, and they have people out there playing music and I guess story time and things like that as well. Yeah.
I just wonder if they own that tent or if they just,
Troy, you want to follow up?
Yeah, I can find out.
Thank you.
I think they've rented it, but
I think it's rented.
but if they do that all the time, that would be, it's kind of expensive to.
The pavilion's a good thing. Location's gonna be that, because there's little certain areas you can't do much up there.
Kevin, isn't there a septic system right
Yes,
there?
there is a septic
Yeah,
system.
it
That-
So if they're gonna build a pavilion,
They
They're
can't
not
build
on it. They're not on it, okay? Pavilion doesn't have to have, it can have a dirt floor,
mhm,
okay? They have grass,
as long as you can have access to the.
correct.
What about footings and things like that?
But it's a pole structure, it goes down 4 feet.
Mhm.
Pavilion that we just put, a few years back up at Dara, that's just poles, a little bit of concrete at the bottom, just sets in 6x6, 8x8s. And just go up, there's no foundation footing, and you got D's and soils down there,
Mhm.
so you're not gonna get into frost action there. But the only thing is, the parking down there is limited, of course. You get a lot of folks in there, so we own the land to the north too. Yeah, it used to be a field, if I
Yep.
recall.
Yeah, we used to pick
We
on.
used to pick corn there, okay?
Rather small field, but
Yeah, it still grew good
It
corn.
wasn't that bad in size.
No.
It actually
It went down a long ways.
went all the way up to the old Winslow house.
Yeah. And went down into the woods more. They
Yep.
let it grow
Yep.
in with birch trees.
That's a good
Typical
piece of land
farmland
right there.
being
though.
taken care of.
Okay, next we have the administrator report. Mr. Brown.
We digress.
quick one. Just a reminder, we will be closed. All the offices will be closed Monday, July 5th. Happy 4th of July to everyone.
Thank
Can't
you.
believe it's 4th of July already, huh? Kind of already talked about the swap table tonight, but follow up from our last meeting, I did go back and talk to Dave. Dave felt that it was best just to leave the swap table open during the normal operations like it had been pre-COVID.
Mhm.
And the one suggestion that he liked was, and he's actually got it in place right now, that on Sunday mornings, he is now open from 9 to noon. That gives him 1 hour Sunday morning to do. And he gave me a report this morning what a benefit it was to have that 1 hour.
Okay.
There's only 2 workers there, him and one other person, and that 1 hour was productive, not just the swap table, but cleaning up some other stuff too. So
No
that
brush
seems-
fires.
that's the way he wants to work, and so seems like that worked out fine. And then I'll bring the concept of a container and see what his thoughts are on that.
Yeah, okay.
Also, I kind of reported at the last meeting. I wanted to give you an official update. there were some concerns about the 4 towns that were working jointly with the Pennachuck PUC rate case. And we kind of felt that Hooksett definitely would be dropping out. We were unsure with Pelham, but we have official notification now that Hooksett and Pelham have dropped out. I've spoke with town manager over in Londonderry, Kevin Smith, and what he agreed is that we would just continue to work on our per capita agreement that we had in place, where it was all split based on your population of your town. And now with only the 2 towns, we'll split it by population, a percentage. Again, Londonderry would have a larger population than us. So we'll have to just monitor the cost. We haven't really spent much money of the $50,000 that we have in the warrant article. But now that it's just the 2 communities, we'll have to monitor that a little closely.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Selectmen reports.
I have a
Question?
question to Troy on that. We being the highest ratepayers,
What's that?
well, we are the highest ratepayers, correct? Compared to all the other towns with Pennachuck East?
Well, if we're all in, you mean like Londonderry, and we're all the same rate. So Londonderry users and Litchfield
We have
users are all
more.
paying the same rate. So
We
Pennachuck
have more numbers than Londonderry.
Correct, because they don't require,
more
yeah.
users.
Yep. I
But
understand that.
Londonderry, their real concern here is that obviously St. Gobain has had some contamination issues over there, and they're looking. They're probably going to be looking at doing exactly what we did here and expand their water lines. And with that's going to be more fire hydrants. So they're obviously very much aware of what's happened here in Litchfield. And so town manager Smith said he's very interested in keeping this going and trying to be proactive and really get our hands around these hydrant rental fees.
Yeah. Maybe they bought a brand new fire truck. Never going to be used.
Okay, selectmen reports. Ms. Queen.
Me, okay. Planning board, next meeting is Tuesday, July 6th, 2021 at 7 PM here at the town hall. The big news is we may have a second winery coming to town.
Whoa, competition.
That's okay. It's a draw. NRPC, we did meet earlier this month, but the next meeting is Wednesday, September 15th, 2021 at 7 PM. I'm going to give you some updates from NRPC very quickly. The main things were they set up a 501c organization. NRPC gets money from, public money. We set up one to get maybe go after grants for private money as well. The 501c will support the mission statement of NRPC. So instead of just getting public money, we will also try to get private money. COVID-19 monies may provide extra dollar for grants. Hopefully that will help in the Pinecrest sidewalk. We're going to stay tuned for that. A lot of the towns said during this recent boom, they are all going back and reviewing their land use laws. They're finding they are ambiguous at best. Litchfield, we've already gone over our land use laws. We're continuing with our commercial districts in the north and the 2 in the south. They're looking at transfer rights or rewriting their code laws to reflect their master plans. We already did that. They're noticing divisions in their town with the boom of the new people versus the old, and the towns are starting to become fractured. A trend worth noting is Hudson may transfer their planning board from appointed to elected. Amherst just transferred from appointed to elected. Pelham did this 4 years ago. I asked, why does that happen? And they said usually a project like Amazon would trigger that, and the public gets a little upset. They go from appointed to elected, and it's a cycle. And after they get elected, it becomes political and goes back to appointed. I don't think Litchfield's there yet. As far as the building boom, small towns like Mount Vernon, the average price of a home is $500,000. Pelham, the average price is $570,000.
Wow.
Merrimack, here's updates from Merrimack. In the northern part of town, 120,000 square foot warehouse is going to be built. Another 100,000 square foot warehouse is going to be built. In the southern part of town, 160,000 square foot warehouse is going to be added to an existing facility. I'm not sure what the golf course they're talking about is up for sale. Apartments are going in for elderly and other residents. Nashua. Approval of many businesses has occurred. Approval of hundreds of housing units approved. I don't know if that's apartments or homes. I'm probably both. The strategy is to go to unserved areas that have already been built and build them up. I guess on my conservation, they're working for people to have a better experience. I'm not sure what that means. As far as Hudson, the Board of Selectmen is a commissioner. She said 2 appeals have been filed for the Amazon plant. Department of Transportation has not been helpful, and it's not over yet, but I'm not sure what's happening there. And that's all I have for NRPC. And I will say for the Strawberry Festival, it was a great success, both for the Presbyterian Church and the Historical Society. All the food was sold. Historical Society did very well on their, the stuff they sell. And a lot of people were doing their early Christmas shopping, which surprised me on a hot 90-degree day. And that's what I have to report.
Thank you. So from an emergency management standpoint, we have not met in the last 2 weeks. There's been no call with the state, so we haven't had a call. Recreation Commission, we are off for the summer. We don't start again until August.
Steve?
Yeah.
What is our current status concerning COVID? I mean, are there any mask requirements? We still have
No, man. Yeah.
building, we still have number restrictions, right?
We have
Yes.
number restrictions at Town Hall.
Town Hall, and this is still
In this
a
room.
restriction of 17.
How about the meeting room?
Oh, over in the fire station?
Yeah.
He has a restriction, and I think I can't remember off the top of my head the number, but it's like 16.
It's about the size
It's
of
less
this.
than ours.
Yeah.
So when are we going to relax those restrictions?
I can't say when, but I think that's a discussion that our emergency team will be having.
We've been
I can
following
see
the
it kinda-
CDC guidelines.
Yeah, we're
kind of
following,
on
but
top of it, and the Department of.
Yeah, but we're kind of we are
Services.
exempt from those,
Mhm.
So I think the thought process was that, we increased the capacity of the room, and we kind of, in my mind, I was thinking that we were going to do this for the 2 summer, like July and August, because a lot of the boards and committees aren't meeting. There's a lighter load, but in September, my thought was you just the barriers go down and room capacities go away.
Because come October, we're going to have to open up Town Hall to a great number because it gets utilized so much. And as long as the numbers of virus stay down, I don't see the reason why not to increase the numbers.
And the reason for the restriction here is due to this is a space you cannot consider out.
I was thinking, it's just my own thought, we continue this way for July and August, but September 1st,
When is
everything goes back to normal.
when the budget's set, we start meeting with the budgets all the time.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
We're gonna have to.
And if the numbers keep staying where they are, there's no reason not to. I mean, the last numbers I saw were
They're very
zero.
little.
Now, the school board is not meeting in this room anymore, right?
They're meeting in the auditorium, I thought.
Yeah.
They did one meeting in the auditorium.
They have been in here.
How do they decide whether to meet here or in the auditorium?
Probably depending on what they
Size.
expect the crowd.
Yeah. So what's on the docket?
Yeah.
And what's available. The last meeting that was held in the auditorium was held there because we were here in this room that same night at the same time.
When you say we?
Board of Selectmen.
Oh,
They had a special meeting
they had
that
a special
evening.
They had a
meeting.
special meeting that evening to accommodate their schedule, which included a Wednesday 8th grade promotion ceremony.
Okay.
They wanted to be in attendance for that.
I just wonder why they don't meet in the auditorium all the time.
It's
Especially
tougher
for-
on the TV, isn't it?
LCTV, yeah, yeah.
It's what?
It's very difficult for us to arrange coverage in the auditorium.
LCTV.
Oh, for,
Televising is very difficult.
The sound's not that great, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this room's set up for it.
This room was built for that purpose.
No. This room was built just the way it is. We didn't have that back then.
It has
We
been
have
configured
John
for that
Brunel
purpose.
and we have LCTV, so.
There's been cameras in this room since this room been standard.
No,
Hey,
I was here when they built it.
there's a camera in that corner all the time.
That was for security.
Okay, the only other thing is the School Facility Improvement Committee, and we have not met since the last selectman meeting. Mr. Leary.
Budget committee met last week. It was a fairly quick meeting. They want to move one of their, was going to sit in with the school again this year when they do their budget, when they're working on it. And last year, we really didn't have any input, but this year, I guess we're going to. They're going to do one of the meetings on a Monday that we have a meeting as well. So it does create a conflict for me, but I might excuse myself to attend that.
Appreciate it.
And then, other than that, I mean, we had a real good, you guys had a really good family fun day Saturday.
We did. That was a big success for Litchfield baseball and softball.
Yep, and the police and the firemen and the dunk tank was nice.
Yeah, we had Recreation Commission Chair and Vice Chair of the dunk tank, so.
Yep. But other than that, it was a quick meeting. We're not getting busy yet, but we will.
Give yourself another month and a half.
Give us another month and a half. Yep. So,
Thank you. Mr. Lynch.
Rec Commission met last week on a sidewalk over the Kobe land at the north of the town for
You mean Conservation Commission?
conservation. Yeah, Rec Commission. Yeah, conservation. And for a sidewalk for a location of a storage building for a company that wants to come to town. It was a good walk. There's a lot of us there. Some good information came out of it. There is a wetland. They delineate it, but that wetland's it was caused by plowing. I'll say that all over the years. There's no slope in it. It just got turfed in there. There's a runoff that goes down. And we'll look at the lower field and stuff like that. So they're putting the building in a good location, but there's some concerns with wetlands. That's minor because it's all field.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a matter of getting in the right location. But I will say the tick population up there is very good. Everyone came out with a lot of ticks. I came out with 18. Okay.
18 ticks.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Okay. You get a whole meal out of them.
no, I was
Okay.
gonna say you had lunch.
Everybody was getting ticks. And when it's short, and it's like when you first got out, when you go to St. Francis, you got this parking area before you go down there. We all parked there and we're all standing against the woods. And like the little ticks were in the woods, they were waiting for somebody to walk by.
Mhm.
Poof. Everybody got it. It was interesting. A good day.
Now they talked about switching the entrance.
They're looking at that too now, looking at the lower entrance as an exit.
'Cause that's a tough corner.
Yeah, but the DOT's involved. They're looking at the exit and the site view there.
Yeah.
So it may be that it could be. It'd be only entrance at St. Francis, and that's a tough corner to even come out of.
Yeah.
Okay, because of the vegetation and the property lines there.
So they want to exit on that 50-foot easement that
They
they have
have the
going in?
one to the south. It's been there for years.
It's where that concrete driveway is, right?
Yeah.
The asphalt driveways in there. Yeah. And it's got good sight distance, okay, but you got to get rid of a hill, a little bit of vegetation. But the sight distance is good looking south. It's not looking good looking north.
Yeah.
But that's just a cut that will work in there or some vegetation change. There were butters at that site, okay, and a concern, but this meeting was basically just for the wetlands. As for the exits and stuff like that, that's going to be a planning board world. Okay. But all in all, the building location was moved a little bit, trying to keep part of the field there. And there's a lower field down below that has not been used this year for a couple of years because of the last building they just built, plugged it off, trying to keep that into conservation as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Troy, I just, I noticed there was an ant over there on that table and I just saw another one here. So I don't know that. I guess it's a good ant
Whose
time.
ant was it? Oh, excuse me.
Well, at least it wasn't a tick. The Heritage Commission has not met. I think we're meeting the second Tuesday. Isn't that when it meets?
I believe it does, yes. Planning board's first and third, yeah.
Yeah. We have finished the legislative calendar. The budget is passed and there's some pretty significant tax cuts. So that's good. The full disclosure, I have to, with respect to our earlier agenda item, I have to disclose that I have been accused of illicit discharge in the past. So I just wanted everybody to know
Are you
that.
serious?
I'm not going there.
That's my report.
To go up.
Thank you. Since we had no other business, we do have one other agenda item, which is a non-public session under RSA 91A:32A, employee compensation. Do we have a motion to go into non-public?
I'll make a motion, we go into non-public.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Leary. Roll call vote, Ms. Queen.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
We are now going into non-public. While we do not anticipate the need to return to a public session following the non-public for any reason other than to adjourn the meeting, we reserve the right to do so if the non-public session necessitates the board taking action in a public session. We are now in non-public. Thank you for tuning in and stay cool.